you interested in Brisbane architecture? Marianne Taylor is researching the history and evolution of post-war houses in our city. She's received grant money from council and now she's looking for your help walking the streets, identifying certain homes. And Marianne Taylor's with our reporter Terri Begley live this morning in Salisbury. Hi, Terri.
Good morning, Spencer. I'm in a dead-end street in Salisbury and Marianne and I have been having a good look around at some of the houses here. I probably should lower my voice as people sleep. Look, the reason why we're looking at these houses is a very important part of Marianne's research. What's the point of this?
The point is to try and capture some of these post-war homes built between 1940 and 1980 to record some of the evidence of what they look like when they were built, different architectural styles, and just try and capture this information so that we've got a record of it before they're all gone, basically.
So these are the next wave of older homes that are starting to get knocked down.
That's right. I think, they're probably lacking in appreciation a little bit. A lot of people just see them because particularly things like the Housing Commission homes, I think sometimes that they are a little bit unappreciated because they are a bit so common, maybe not as fancy as some of the houses, but they are so important in terms of our housing history and our architectural history that I really want to capture these. And I'm finding a lot of people, particularly baby boomers, would have either bought them or grown up in them, and they have a real connection to these houses as well. So I'm loving collecting the stories that go with these houses.
We're standing in front of one of the typical examples that you might say is a post-war home. Just describe some of the features to give us a new appreciation of these types of homes.
Sure. So some of the biggest changes in the post-war period was a change from gable roofs to hip roofs, and then moving into the 50s and 60s, like this style here, they had the big low-pitch, wide roofs and often asymmetrical. Another thing to look for is the hopper-style windows, which are basically casement windows on the side, which open up, and that was a real introduction in the early 60s and continued through the 60s. A lot of angular type construction as well. Often the veranda poles and that sort of thing are on a bit of an angle, and if it's got a chimney, it's often a very, very wide brick chimney in contrast to the weatherboards itself. But in terms of general post-war houses, fibro houses, they were a big thing after the war.
Actually, if you swing around just behind us and then two houses down from the one you've just been describing, describe the roofs. They're asbestos, aren't they?
Absolutely. The asbestos roof was actually a massive innovation in roofing materials. I've actually got one on my house and they're incredible for insulation. Obviously, they've fallen out of favour for obvious reasons recently, but they were an incredible material to start with. A lot of you will probably remember the Super 6 roof on your own houses if it's from that era, and also the fibro walls. It's, I think fibro, a lot of people think it looks plain and it was never designed to be a super spectacular in appearance, but in terms of practicality and the innovation in the building industry, it was just incredible. It allowed people to build their own houses very cheaply for the first time, lowered the cost of housing prices to the general public so people could get into the market for the first time. Incredibly important material. Can't emphasise that enough.
Love the fibro. Take a good look at it and rethink the way you look at fibro. Now, we're standing in Salisbury, and everywhere we look, it seems as if there's post-war homes right around us. Are there particular suburbs across Brisbane, Marianne, that people would find these homes?
There definitely is, particularly the Housing Commission estates. They tended to buy up whole tracts of land and develop areas at once. So Salisbury is one of those examples, pockets of Salisbury. There's also Zillmere and Chermside on the north side, a couple of other areas around Carina as well, those types of areas. So you'll probably know them if you live in the area. There's 3 or 4 different styles of houses that are just repeated over and over again with slightly different features on the front, and I'm sure many of you would recognise them and find them quite familiar from your childhood.
Marianne, if you're listening to this right now and you're sitting in your kitchen of a post-war home and you're thinking, I think I could help her out on research just by looking around my house, what sort of information is useful to you? What should people do?
Sure. Well, the project's mainly about collecting photographic evidence of these houses. So I would be looking for houses that are pretty much intact as built, both exterior and interior. I really want to capture the interiors because they are often a neglected area and people often rip out the kitchens and bathrooms in particular and modernise them. So I'm really looking for some original features. If you've got those types of things, I'd love to hear from you. All I want to do is come in and take some photos, and if you're amenable to it, I'd like to include them in a public exhibition and an ebook if they meet the criteria.
I think a lot of people would jump at that chance. They love their homes, but to be able to share some of those classic features with others, I think that you'll have people clamouring to get in touch with you. How can people get in touch?
They can contact me at my email address is probably the best. It's info@housedetective.com.au. I also have a Facebook page, which is Marianne Taylor Heritage Consultant. I've got plenty of information there about the project and how to get in touch. And I'm also going to be launching a Facebook page specifically for the project today as well.
We'll put some links up via our Facebook page and Twitter, and a couple of examples from this morning where we've been walking around the streets of Salisbury of what you're looking for your research. The question comes, though, isn't there a better way to document this heritage? Things like real estate agents or perhaps government archives, wouldn't they have all this information anyway?
They certainly would, and that'll be part of my research. Realestate.com.au is my new favourite website at the moment for cruising these places from the comfort of my office. But I really wanted to focus on the community engagement side of the project as well. I mean, a house is a house, but hearing the stories of people that grew up in these houses is a massive part of the project. And finding people that have a personal connection, people whose parents built the house or another association like that is just so interesting to me. And half the fun for me is walking around, wandering the streets and looking at these fantastic homes, and it's good exercise too. So,
Marianne, I know what's going to happen. People will get in touch with you. They will invite you in. You'll have a cup of tea and you won't leave. You'll take a couple of photos, but I think this is going to take a lot longer than you expect.
I absolutely agree. I don't mind a cup of tea and a chat, as my husband will agree. So I'm more than happy to come and visit anyone who has a house they think might suit the project.
We'll get those details on how you can get in touch with Marianne Taylor. Good luck with your house hunting, the post-war homes. She's received money from Brisbane City Council, now looking for your help, walking the streets of Brisbane, identifying post-war homes before they disappear before our very eyes.
Terri.
Absolutely. Let's capture these beauties and raise the appreciation of them as well, so we can hopefully help keep them as well.
Terri, thank you. Terri Begley there with Marianne, and that email address again, info@housedetective.com.au.